Greetings and salutations and welcome to Illegitimate Legends, the show where I like to talk about some of the more unusual League of Legends builds. And you know what? It turns out, despite all my training, I'm still bad at Nidalee. It's just something that I can't seem to fix. Maybe the new Australian servers and the lack of lag will help, but I just can never seem to throw the spears right, and I have a lot of trouble pouncing where I want to pounce. But despite all my failings, this build is quite effective. It just is. Nidalee makes a very good AD carry, or, interestingly, an AD jungle. Although you want to be careful in the jungle, you can die to, say, the red buff. It happened to me on my first attempt, not on the second, but still, get as much help as you can. It's not the best jungle in the world. Once, of course, you reach level 6, you will destroy everything and anyone that is a minion. But until then, your jungle isn't the strongest, and neither is your gank opportunity. Okay, so skill order for this build. Leveling Q first, very, very good once you hit level 6. Leveling E first is very, very good beforehand. So if you're going to be a ranged AD carry and use cat form in the same way that Quinn uses Valor, then you definitely want to be ranking your heal first. Regardless, get all your skills by the time you're level 3. You're gonna need them all, because they're all really useful. Go figure, that trap will save you from ganks. Doesn't mean you don't need to buy wards, but it helps. Covers a whole lot of avenues of access that otherwise do not get covered. And let's not forget the fact that it shreds armor and magic resist like there is no tomorrow. Beyond that, if you're playing AD carry, just throw your spears whenever you sort of feel it's relevant. If you're not leveling it up, it won't do too much damage. That's just the way it's going to be. So you want to be dealing your damage from auto attacks. Make sure you've always got mana for a heal, because a heal early on in a AD carry versus AD carry engagement, that'll make all the difference. The attack speed buff, as I've said in earlier videos, borderline OP. Like, that attack speed is huge. Consequently, you definitely want to be going for a damage first build. Almost, you have to. Get yourself a Vampiric Scepter very, very early, and build that into probably a Bloodthirster, because that's a lot of, like, stupid amounts of damage and lifesteal. Very, 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 very helpful. I didn't actually get much opportunity to play a AD carry though, and here comes my first little tip for players of all games. If you've chosen to play support, don't then, after the first bad engagement, leave bottom lane and go top lane because you decide that maybe your AD carry isn't good enough. Sure, I wasn't great, but I was certainly doing better than him, Mr. Blitzcrank, and leaving your AD carry bot alone, no, that will never end well, ever. Ever, even if eventually the enemy bottom team swapped out for their Heimerdinger, I couldn't participate in the game. I had nothing, because I had no support. Okay, on to jungling. Jungling, your ganks are, they do something, but not much, right up until level 6. Basically, up until level 6, you want to be farming as hard as you can, more than you want to be ganking. I know that's counterintuitive to a jungle, because often the early ganks are what make all the difference, and also they're usually the easiest. But if there's a ward, no, you won't get anything out of it. If there isn't a ward, you'll be lucky to get something out of it. Your spears, if you get a really, really good long-range spear from out of nowhere, because they didn't know you were even in the lane, that can be absolutely massive. But for the most part, unless the enemy is pushed right up, you don't have enough damage to actually perform a successful gank. You might push them out of the lane if you're lucky, but like I said, it's just not going to happen for you. However, once you hit level 6, you become an absurd powerhouse, and the finishing move, oh my god. Okay, I don't know if you know this, and I certainly didn't. When you're in cat form, your Q, which is typically your spear, that gets a 1-to-1 AD ratio on a reasonably powerful empowered strike, but its main strength is the fact that its damage increases based on how low the target's health is, up to 300%. Basically, you have a 3-to-1 AD ratio on someone who's at about a quarter health. That finishing move can deal easily in excess of 1,000 damage. Usually by the late game, you're looking at 1,400. It can crit, because it's simply an empowered strike. It will also apply the effects of Sheen, so a Triforce is a must if you're jungling. No questions about it, get that Triforce. It is insane. That move is basically the core of it. Everything else in kitty form is largely utility. You'll get a lot of minion farm with swipe, but beyond that, it's not all that useful. Once you start reaching the later phases in the game, you don't have the AP to get the damage out of it. Pounce, every 3 seconds, you just get a little bit closer to the enemy. It's kinda good like that. This build is simple. It's very flexible as to how you build it. You could probably do a sort of bruiser build if you're coming out of the jungle. If you're AD carry, you want to stick with an AD carry build. Like I said, very, very powerful. The traps can cause stupid amounts of damage by shredding armor and magic resistance. It's actually insane. And beyond that, there's no complexity here. It's not the strongest way you can play Nidalee. Sure, AP Nidalee is still the best, in my personal opinion. But it is certainly capable, and that's what it's all about. However, this brings me to my next topic. If you're going to complain about the fact that I'm building Nidalee AD, and say, surely you should be building AP, we've got too much AD on our team already. Please don't be saying that if you're the wonderful Draven who has got basically 3,000 gold in what was an hour-long game. I don't even know how he was as poor and underfed as he was, but don't bitch at me if you suck and you're not doing the AD carry job properly. That's all I have to say. Thank you all for watching. I'll be back next week with something a little bit more interesting. Thank you all for watching, and good night.